Okay, so apparently I did this whole video and y'all weren't recording, so I'm doing my March TBR, and apparently I did this whole video and it wasn't recording. So I'm going to basically tell you what I picked, even though you're supposed to watch the process of me picking them. So first things first is I have to have a punishment book because I only read 2 of the 13 books I chose in January, or February. I read 1 of them in January. And so I only did 2 of the 13, and so I have to tell you. So I have a punishment book. And how I choose my punishment book is I count how many books I have that I, with me. Some of them are reread, some of them aren't, and so I choose, so in this case it was 90, and I did 1 to 90. It rolled a 3, and you guys would have seen that, except, and I would have shown you guys to prove that, except the first time I tried to film this, my camera died, and by that time I had clicked out of that. But it was a 3, and that book is The Story That Cannot Be Told by J. Casper Kramer. And this story follows a girl named Ileana who collects stories, and for the most part it's pretty innocent and everything's fine. However, she lives in Romania during the time of the communist regime, and so some of these stories criticize the Romanian government, and those are dangerous. So her parents sent her to her grandparents' house to keep her safe. However, danger is never far away. Now, to save her family and the village she's come to love, Ileana will have to tell the most important story of her life. And so that one is my punishment book. Then I have so many other books, guys. I normally choose 10, but I rolled 2 doubles, so I had to choose 12. My first 3 books were fantasy, which are The Fate of the Dwarves by Marcus Heights, which follows a dwarf named Tungdale on his very many adventures in a world that's very high fantasy-like. I also chose As Old as Time by Liz Braswell. This is a twisted tale, which is basically what if Belle's mother cursed the beast. I also chose Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade fantasy that follows Morrigan Crow, and she was born on evening time, which is the unluckiest day to be born, and so she is blamed for all the misfortunes, and so on her 11th birthday she is doomed to die at midnight. However, she ends up being whisked away to a magical city called Nevermore, where she has to face these trials to see if she can stay. Then I rolled for nonfiction, and I chose If You Tell by Greg Olson. This is a story of 3 sisters whose mother was a murderer, and basically how they survived all the abuse and stuff to stay safe, and how they stayed safe, and how they moved on. Then I chose a sci-fi, and I chose Doctor's Orders by Diane Duane. Even though it's not the one I'm super excited to read, this one takes place I'm almost done with it, and it was on my February TBR, which so was The Fate of the Dwarves and As Old as Time. A lot of these you'll see were on my February TBR. Then I rolled for travel, and I chose the 8th book in the series of unfortunate events, The Hostile Hospital by Lemony Snicket. And I chose this because they end up traveling a lot in this part of, the last half of the series. They're traveling a lot. And I plan on finishing the books 1 through 7 by the end of this week, as you'll see in my reading vlog, which will be posted on Sunday. And I want to read the last 6 books in the series next, starting Sunday to the end of next week. So from Sunday to Saturday, that will be what I'm reading then. So this one is that. This will be the start of it. It's the only one officially on my TBR, but the last 6 I will add throughout the week, and they should be very quick reads. Then I got a historical fiction, and I chose The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George, because I could not determine if classics would be considered historical fiction. And so this one follows Monsieur Purdue. He's a literary apothecary. He basically prescribes books based on what like a person needs most. His love left him a long time ago and left him a letter, and he has not read it. But eventually he does read it, and he takes a mission to the south of France to find her. Then I got a big book, and I chose The Once and Future King by T.H. White. And I chose this because it's 670 something pages, 77 I believe. So it's closer to 500 than The Well of Ascension, and so I chose that one instead. It is a library book. This is basically like just Arthurian legends, so that's kind of cool. Then I got sci-fi again, and I chose The Light at the Bottom of the World by London Shaw. And this is if London is, and at the end of the 21st century, London is flooded, and so they live in the abyss underneath London. And there is this marathon where you get in a submersible racer. And so Layla McQueen is chosen for this race. And if she wins, she gets one wish granted, like whatever she wants. And so she wants to have her father released from prison because he was arrested under false charges. But she finds out that the government is corrupt, and she has this companion that's hot-headed that she didn't really want to be with anyway, but now she's stuck with him. Then I chose a fantasy, and I rolled for fantasy again. I got Songs from the Deep by Kelly Powell. This is a probably more magical realism book, but it still counts as fantasy in my mind. This is about Mora Alexander, and she likes the sirens, and she will play her violin to them, and they will sing back, I guess. But this boy ends up dead, and so everyone else in the town believes those sirens killed him, and so they go on like a witch hunt for them. But she believes that they were framed, and so her and this guy named Jude Osric, who is the lighthouse keeper, are trying to prove that they're innocent, and they were childhood friends, but now they're not friends, and so they're kind of like rekindling their friendship. Then I chose short book, and I typically count short books as under 300 pages, and I chose The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season of the Witch. It's a prequel novel to the Netflix original series by Sarah Reese Brennan, and it's 284, and basically Sabrina is like this witch in the modern world, and she lives with all these, she can do all these abilities, and everyone's happy except she's about to have to leave, but there's this guy named Harvey Kinkle, and like that's her boyfriend, and she doesn't know how he actually feels about her, so her cousin suggests she performs a spell to discover if he actually has, or what his true feelings are. But a mysterious wood spirit interferes, the spell backfires in a big way, so Sabrina can't help wondering if that power is leading her down the wrong path. And then I rolled for another big book, and actually I chose another fantasy, and it's Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. It's like just over 500. It's like 520, 532. And this is about Laszlo Strange, who is a war orphan and a junior librarian, and he has been super interested and obsessed with the mythic lost city of Weep. Then a stunning opportunity presents itself in the person of a hero called the Godslayer and a band of legendary warriors, and he has to seize his chance or lose his dream forever. What happened in Weep 200 years ago to cut it off from the rest of the world? What exactly did the Godslayer slay that went by the name of God? The answers await in Weep, but so do more mysteries, including the blue-skinned goddess who appears in Laszlo's dreams. How did he dream of her before he knew she existed? This is that book. So I'm sorry you guys didn't get to watch me do it. I tried. But my camera just didn't want to work, I guess. So that is my March TBR. Wish me luck. I have like 3 books over 500 pages. For shame, for shame. Plus, these are not all of the books I plan on reading. I also plan on finishing the series of Unfortunate Events, and so I decided to do a reading vlog where I just reread this entire series because it was my favorite childhood series, and while I managed to fit one of those books on this TBR, actually, I could just trade out all of the fantasy books and put these in, because I googled what genre these would be counted on, and fantasy came up, so I could just go back and change all of those. We'll see if I do that. But these are also books I plan on reading, and so if you count all of these, so that's 12 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I plan on reading 17 books next month. At least it's 30 or 31 days long. Wish me luck.